LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot stop your new clients from emailing you at 3 a.m. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you be in 3 places at once. And while we can't help you organize your calendar, LinkedIn can help you land more clients so you have a calendar to organize. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
New York is a show that's excited that the playoffs are finally here. And by finally here, I just mean tomorrow, and it's the play-in. But still,
Yes.
But it's
playoffs are here.
must-win basketball. How about that?
Yes. When are we doing our playoff predictions?
Friday.
Are we doing
Once
it
the
Friday?
field is set. Okay. Yeah, because once the bracket's set.
I'm torn.
Right. Oh, no, you're not.
I'm torn.
You're not torn.
I am.
You're allowed.
My heart and my head are going all
Drew,
different ways.
unlike your MVP vote where you are correctly adherent to the history and your ethics and all of that.
Yeah.
Predictions is predictions.
Just predictions.
You can just go with the heart
I like
wants
being
what
right.
the heart wants, bro.
The public expects me to be right, too.
You can go with Wemby. You want to go with Wemby.
If you don't go with Wemby, somebody here is.
See, you just waiting to take them.
First hour, first things first. Today, KD versus LeBron in round 1. Who has more at stake, and can LeBron pull off the upset? Meanwhile, did Wemby's path to a championship get derailed? He's got a hard path to a championship.
Yep.
And finally, we're 10 days away from the NFL draft. It's time for Mock Draft 2.0. Not better, just different? Or better?
Honestly, maybe worse.
Is this one just for fun?
No,
just
this one's
kicks
not
and
just for
giggles?
fun, but this is the one that I take the biggest swings on, and
You took some swings.
I made one major shift near the top of the draft, and the butterfly effect was enormous.
Sliding doors when it's
absolutely.
He took some swings.
Mock Draft 3.0 next Monday,
That
and
one's
then
serious.
4.0 is the official
Thursday.
one that I rank against the whole world.
Chris Broussard, Kevin Wildes, Nick Wright. We are starting at the end of the regular season. The bracket is set. The play-in starts tomorrow. Lots of absences as teams either jockeyed for a position or just straight up rested as they prepared for the playoffs. Headline from Friday from ESPN, April 10th, 2026. NBA's Friday slate sees at least 168 out with injury or
You know that's more than a starting 5 for every team in the league. There's 150
Yeah,
starters
that's
in the
great
league.
math,
Good
Brew. That's
point.
correct.
Just-
Yeah.
You hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
No, I did
no,
not.
I-
That was pretty good.
I mean, look, that's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, you were fired up about this, that it hit the group chat.
It did.
You're like, I've got A1 on Monday.
No,
All
no,
right.
well,
What'd you make of the
listen,
final weekend?
I'm thrilled the playoffs are here, and we try, to take on Wild's motto on this show of loving sport.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We don't wave the pom-poms for anyone, but
Well,
we kind of do for
a lot of
sport.
pom-pom waving.
And so I don't want to be overly negative long term, but there is something I want to say about this because I am from, as you guys know, Kansas City, Missouri. There is no NBA team. There isn't even one close. Denver or Chicago are the two closest when I was growing up.
Denver?
Denver.
Wow, how close is Denver?
9-hour drive.
That's
straight across
really?
Kansas. I mean, or Chicago might be the next closest. Point is
How
this.
far away is Indiana?
The further than Chicago.
No, but further than Denver?
Okay, can we
Denver feels very far away. From
The point is this.
Denver hit me hard.
Okay,
You said
I
Denver.
drove to Denver once as a kid, straight across
Really?
Kansas. Brutal. Not the point, guys.
He hates Kansas.
Why you ripping
Just a
Kansas
boring
all the
drive.
time?
It's just flat and weak.
Well,
for
that's
9
the
hours.
Midwest.
All right,
Not hungry, are
let me
you?
get to this. So, yet, despite that, growing up, more than the Chiefs, more than the Royals, more than football or baseball, my favorite sport was the NBA. And I think it was because of a moment I had when I was 8 years old, when my mom told me I think as like my big Christmas present or something, that she was taking me to New York to see Michael Jordan take on the New York Knicks.
Oh, nice.
In the final game of that regular season. And when I have told this story in the past, in my mind, that game was deciding who had home court advantage. But I fact-checked my own memory. Here were the Eastern Conference standings going in to game 82 of that season. What you will see is the Bulls were totally locked in 2, and the Knicks were totally locked in 1. And even for finals purposes, that game meant nothing. And Patrick Ewing played 40 minutes, and Michael Jordan played 38 for the 2-time defending champions, and I, an 8-year-old boy from the Midwest, fell in love with professional basketball. And what happened this weekend is a farce. And it's a joke, and all of the stakeholders, owners, commissioner, players, all need to come together and recognize this doesn't happen in any other sport, and this is fraying away at the credibility of the league. And it is fraying away at future fans at a time when the youth attention economy is harder to come by than ever before. And everyone's got to do better on it. And so, again, I don't want to be super negative, and I'm happy about the playoffs. But this really, really irritated me that this is how the season came to a whimpering end.
No, I agree with a lot of what you said. That's a great story. It does happen in football. That last game, if you're already in, that's why adding an 18th game, we know it's just for money, but why? Because the stars aren't playing if you're already in the playoffs. But it's not just this weekend, though. It's like the entire season, all right? And the reason 168 guys were out with either injury or rest, let's just call it what it wasn't just the teams that are about to go on a long, hopefully for them, long playoff run. It was the tankers, too, some of the tankers.
Yes.
Some of those where you're still in a fight for the worst record, some of those teams sat guys. Utah, who got blasted by the Lakers yesterday, I'm convinced they would have sent Danny Ainge out to start point with his son Austin at the 2 if it meant losing to the Lakers. I mean, they were going to lose that game no matter what. But look, I'm going to be fair, and you have said this before. I think the whole sports landscape, at least in the NBA, has changed to the point where most people didn't look at it like you. Most people are like, we're kind of used to it. We don't expect, if you're in the OKC, of course they rested guys, and that's some of that I will take on as the media a little. I don't think it's all of the media or most of the media, but we have put so much of an emphasis on the championships and the playoffs. It's like if you have, no matter what you do in the regular season, if you don't follow it up by winning a championship or doing something spectacular in the playoffs, we tend to dismiss your regular season. So teams and players have somewhat said, you know what, it's just about the playoffs. If indeed Philadelphia was like, we're going to sit Joel Embiid until March and then make sure he can play for the playoffs, if they took that tack, that would be, a response to this. So maybe a little's on the media and our emphasis, but the players and the franchises too. Look, I think it's a travesty if indeed Giannis Antetokounmpo could play. It's a travesty that the Milwaukee Bucks did not let him play, because you weren't giving those fans who went to the last, 12 home games and didn't get to see Giannis, even though he was saying he could play. You didn't give them discounts or refunds on those tickets.
Thanasis was out there.
Right.
That's an understudy.
That was enough.
Tonight, you do get to see it on Antetokounmpo.
Look, I agree with you, Nick. The league has to figure this out, because the fans are eventually going to be like, I'm not going to go to the game if so-and-so is not playing, if I know so-and-so is not playing, and that will hit the bottom line of the league. Let me finally say this about the 82 games and all that, because, there's all types of theories out there. They can't play 82 now because, they run
Pace
too
and
much and the
space.
pace. I don't think, we all know teams don't practice anymore during the regular season. Training camps aren't close to what they used to be when teams went 2-a-days and things like that. I honestly don't think they're getting players in the shape to even play 82 games. Like, I don't think they even shoot for that. And you got to practice enough and build up the resistance so your body can handle certain things. The more you build it up, the more it can handle. So I think that's something that these teams need to look at. But it is a problem that they have to get fixed, but not just the last weekend. It's throughout the season.
Can I play devil's advocate on 2 points that we discussed all year? Just because I knew you guys were going to come in hot. I'm like, let me try to play the counterpoint. About the tanking teams in Utah. OKC tanked for a few years and just gathered assets, and now they're on the verge of a dynasty. Spurs won 22 games and drafted Wemby. The Pistons won 20 games and drafted Cade. So we've seen teams not just be bad, but be a little extra bad and immediately turn their franchises around and be the number 1 seed. Celtics haven't. The Celtics just traded away everybody, and luckily the Nets were so bad.
They tried. Patino.
But Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're still sort of reaping the benefits from that. So that's one. Like, unfortunately, tanking does work.
No, but that's why that's why it's incumbent upon the league to change the incentive structure.
Yes.
Under the current structure, you get what you incentivize, and they have incentivized. Right.
Yes. And this is going to be directly against you guys. When we're in the regular season, it sure does feel like the regular season matters. But I would rather have guys rested, healthy, and ready to go, and have a healthy playoffs.
But I have
where
no
we
evidence
get a champion. Well, maybe not. But if we could have a healthy playoff and get a champion that is indicative of the best teams going, not like we had last year where guys were going out and all of a sudden it's a lot of battlefield promotions. Like, you actually won because this guy was out and the injuries were a part of the story. I would rather have a healthy, all the stars in football, which the NFL has been very good at. We usually are seeing all of our superstars in the playoffs, so you finally get a Super Bowl with real stars. I would rather have that, and if we have to take a few games off, so be it.
So two things just quickly. One is, I just haven't seen the evidence that since guys are playing less and they're more careful in load management, that we are getting healthier playoffs.
Right. Last year wasn't.
A bunch of,
so.
And so it doesn't feel like we're getting that. But the other thing that happened this weekend, and this is the other thing we were texting about, is teams at the end of the year potentially wanting, I'm not talking about the tankers, wanting to lose games for better playoff matchups, which gets me back to my old hobby horse of, if you really want the regular season to matter, extra incentivizing excellent regular seasons by giving the number 1 seed, you get to pick who you play in round 1. The number 2 seed picks from the remaining teams, and the number 3 seed then picks from the remaining teams. You wouldn't ever worry about the weird thing we're going to talk about in a second, where Spurs are playing the Nuggets. Like, do they both want to lose the game? Like, who is a loss better for it as far as that goes? And I know, Brew, I saw your face. You've never liked this idea. So I know a lot of people don't. I just want to find more way. If we think the genie's out of the bottle on what everyone cares about is the postseason, then finding more ways to have the regular season truly impact your postseason.
There should be no rewards for losing.
But you're still facing, if you're the 1 seed, you're still facing an 8th seed. Like, you should win, whether you get to choose them or not. You should be able to beat that 8th seed. I get it. There are some instances throughout history, Golden State, Dallas, when Dirk won MVP, they probably wouldn't have picked Golden State to play because they had beaten them in the regular season. But I don't feel like that's the answer. But I tell you what, throughout the season, it felt like 2 out of every 3 big games I wanted. Oh wow, the Lakers and the Spurs are playing. It felt like 2 out of every 3 of those types of games, some star was missing.
Well, this was Wild said before the show. We have these playoff matchups, and it's like, how did this team do against that team in the regular
it's
season?
almost irrelevant.
And for a lot of it, it's like, well, that's meaningless because how often were those two teams actually at full strength when they played?
Absolutely.
All right, speaking of, Denver's win over the Spurs locked up the 3 seed. Joker played a half. Wemby didn't play at all. Spurs at the 2, but now have to face Denver again. San Antonio has 4 losses since the beginning of February, 3 to Denver. So how damaging was this loss to the Spurs title champions?
Well, first of all, let me address this. It certainly wasn't damaging in Wemby's MVP case. My goodness. The rest of the Spurs starters couldn't even beat the Nuggets G League team without Wemby. So, no, but seriously, look, it was damaging. I mean, because I texted you guys like, oh, man, it's actually lining up. Denver's going to play Jokic 17 minutes, whatever, and then none of their starters. And the Spurs should be able to win this game and avoid Denver in the second round. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think the Spurs looked at that like, we got all our starters essentially playing outside of Wemby. I think they should have played Cornette. I don't know what his health situation is, but because maybe he would have been the difference because they didn't play him either, Luke Cornette. But I think the starters went out there feeling like we're going to win this game.
They were 11-point favorites.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to win the game.
So you take it easy, and then this other team, those guys are out there with something to prove. I mean, they might go to different teams next year. They got something, impress some GM from another team or the Nuggets. So they play with heart. Next thing you know, Spurs are in the game, and they can't get it going, and Denver's rolling. I don't think Denver, though, because a lot of people, the thought is, okay, Denver was trying to avoid OKC.
Yes.
Right.
But not really, though, because
or
the thing
avoid
is,
San Antonio.
it's weird because Denver, by winning, they avoid OKC,
Right.
but they didn't play any of their guys, so it didn't seem like they wanted to win.
Right, that they were going to lose.
And then would have played OKC.
Yeah, I think Denver, I think their thought process is, let's get healthy. Let's just make sure we're healthy. Obviously, with Aaron Gordon, with Peyton Watson, who's not even back yet, they got hamstrings injuries. Those are gingerly. So I think they just wanted to get healthy, and they took it as if we win, we win, and we end up playing who we play. If we lose, because they got to beat OKC or Denver or San Antonio either way, and they're a team that's won a championship already. So they're not like, oh, let's just get to the conference finals or whatever. They got to go through those teams either way. So, but yeah, bottom line is it took a hit. I would have much rather San Antonio play the Lakers, banged up Lakers in the second round.
Listen, I think for Denver, it doesn't actually matter that much because of your point. Whether Denver was 3 or 4, it just changes the order in which you probably have to play OKC and San Antonio. Denver probably is going to have to beat both of them to make the finals anyway. Yeah. But I think this is a borderline catastrophe for the Spurs.
Oh.
And I think them not playing Wemby was a catastrophic mistake.
Now, don't you think I think that those ribs are still sore. So
I think
they were like,
sore,
look, let's just try to get them fully healthy.
I think they're still sore. I think that if he needed one more game to be eligible, he would have played. Mm-hmm. And I think, as we said we're going to do our picks on Friday, I think the Nuggets are going to beat the Spurs. And I think that had the Spurs taken the final game as seriously as I think they should have, they would have been set up brilliantly. They would have been set up to, in round 2, take on probably the Timberwolves. You know what I mean? You said the Lakers, but I mean, it's because round 2, they play the winner of Lakers-Timberwolves. And the Nuggets and Thunder are playing each other in round 2, beating each other up, and then the Spurs, take on one of them and whomever's left. Now you get a Nuggets team that has the best player in the world, has confidence against you, is playing the best basketball as a team it's played in a couple of years, is as healthy as they've been in a couple of years. I just think it is a huge error. And I am really surprised that the way Wemby and the Spurs attacked this final week. Like they seemed so laser focused on we can win the championship. And then I think, to me, kind of eye off the ball at the last moment. And I think this is a huge deal. I think them having to play Denver in round 2 is a huge deal.
This is my theory on the Spurs. Now, I could be totally wrong. Obviously, Wemby is going for the championship, and their players are, and I'm sure Mitch Johnson. And I think the organization wants to win. But I also think they feel like, and I felt this way all season, watching them play, I feel like they're like, look, we're way ahead of the schedule we thought we were on.
Yeah.
Even if they need to win the first round, obviously. But if they lose to Denver in the second round, I feel like their organization is looking at this like, sure, if we win it, great. But whatever happens in these playoffs, it just gives us more evidence of what we need to do. We're way ahead of schedule. So now we're going to find out, what do we need to improve? Who do we keep? Who do we get rid of? Where do we need to play through Wemby more on offense? Whatever it is. That's how I feel they're looking at it. And I agree with you. I don't think they should be looking at it that way. I think they should be like, we can win it now.
They're 4-1
and again, I know the players feel that way. Right.
This can be your moment.
I
But
think
if they
that's
all
unwritten,
subscribe to,
unspoken.
we need to take our lumps, and this is probably our take our lumps year, get some, playoff scars and calluses, if you will. Don't you like that's
I think
what we are
behind
preaching?
closed doors, that's what their coaches and front office people talk about. But I think the players they should be going for it, because you never know what's going to happen.
This is not, to me, like at all controversial. They didn't play their best player, and now a team that I believe has their number is staring at them in round 2.
I agree with them not playing Wemby, assuming he's still sore with the
he
ribs.
played Friday to become eligible.
But
and
they
scored 40 in 25 minutes.
just like Jokic played to become you should have played him to be eligible. But my point is this, Nick. I'm still trotting out there Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox.
They should have won anyway.
We should win anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what they thought. So that's shame on them for losing that game.
All right, Spurs take on the winner of Suns Blazers in the play-in. We're headed to Augusta. We're on 18 with the leader, Rory McIlroy. This drive goes full Henry David Thoreau in the woods. But Rory emerges, and this putt wins him his second consecutive Masters. He joins an esteemed list of golfing legends: Nicklaus, Faldo, Tiger Woods, and now Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
What does this back-to-back win mean for Rory next?
Well done,
Listen, I feel like for my entire adult life, folks have been promising us this next young golfer is the next guy. Whether it was Dustin Johnson or briefly Bubba Watson, Jordan Spieth had his moment, Justin Thomas, I feel like Scotty Scheffler's maybe having it or had it, Bryson, sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was always going to be Rory. It was Rory. It is Rory. And now, these are the things Rory McIlroy can say. He's the greatest European golfer ever. He's the only Gary player is better than him as far as non-American golfers, with respect to old Tom Morris Jr. and Sr. from 150 years ago.
Senior.
We know the career Grand Slam, how brief of a list that is. It's those 6 guys. Rory, the only one other than Tiger to do it in the last half century. And here that's the full list of guys in the last 70 years with as many majors or more than Rory McIlroy. Nicklaus, Tiger, Gary Player, Kansas City's Tom Watson, Arnold Palmer. That's the full list of guys with more majors, again, in basically modern golf, than Rory. I believe he is the greatest golfer this century other than Tiger Woods. I think he's better than Phil Mickelson. And the fact that he won 4 majors immediately, went a decade without winning them, and now has peeled these 2. He's only 36. He can keep climbing it. He'll always be good at this course. He is truly one of the greatest golfers of all time, and I believe the second greatest golfer of this century
Like
to Tiger.
So you're saying
Second best to Tiger.
Is it fair to say like he's taken
30 some odd years.
the torch from Tiger?
I mean, listen, Tiger was such a force of nature and was so otherworldly. I don't think anybody is going, but it's not outrageous to say this guy is going to finish. Can we throw up that most majors thing again, just quickly, and then I'll give it to you, Brew? It's not crazy to say he could finish with the third most majors ever. He could get to
Arnold
9.
Palmer,
Yeah, I mean, he's at 6.
Well, and the thing is, look, like you said, he won a lot of majors early.
Yes.
And then went on that decade-long drought.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say, because we all remember the commercials with Tiger. Like you said, he was supposed to be the next Tiger or the closest thing to Tiger coming out. And then he won early and then went on this drought. I can't say he was a disappointment because he had won the majors earlier, but it felt like he wasn't the guy that we thought he was going to be. And now, all of a sudden, he's rolling. Last year's Masters, this year's Masters, and he's only 36. So like you said, he might go on a run and get to this, 9 majors or more. I agree he's the best European golfer, too. Nick Faldo obviously has 6 majors as well.
Seve Ballesteros
but he doesn't have
5.
as many like PGA Tour wins, even close. Faldo's only got 9 PGA Tour wins. And
listen, Rory has spent 122 weeks as the world's #1 golfer. He's a 5-time player of the year. He's a 3-time FedEx Cup champion. So even that decade when he wasn't winning majors, he was winning a bunch of stuff. He just wasn't winning majors. Now, he got over the hump last year at Augusta. And I think had he not done that, I mean, he blew a 6-shot lead in 2.5 hours on Saturday and overcame that. It's just, I mean, he truly is one of the best ever at what he does, and he's now won everything.
A PGA Championship, Newton Square, Pennsylvania, starts May 14th, if you can get another one. KD sending LeBron home, ? Next on FS1 and the Fox Sports Channel on SiriusXM.
Nearly home. Isn't home where we all want to be? Reba here for Realtor.com, the pros' #1 most trusted app. Finding a home is like dating. You're not just looking for a place to live, you're searching for the one. That's where Realtor.com comes in. Like any good matchmaker, they know exactly where to look. With over 500,000 new real listings straight from the pros every month, you could find your perfect match today. Ranch style with a pool, barn dominium with an in-law suite? Realtor.com's got 'em. Modern craftsman with a big yard and a treehouse out back? Realtor.com will have you saying, yep, that's the one. No more swiping. It's time to start finding. Download the Realtor.com app today, 'cause you're nearly home. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Pros #1 most trusted app based on August 2024 proprietary survey. Over 500,000 new listings every month based on average new for sale and rental listings. February 2024 through January 2025.
Rockets the 5, Lakers the 4. Lake Show 1, 2, or 3 from Houston, but no Luka, no Austin Reeves in these meetings. Means this is a LeBron-KD battle. Here are the Rockets' ranks. In the last 10 games, they are hot. Previous 20 games, they were just fine, but they're 9-1 in the last 10. Rockets are heavy favorites here. Are you surprised, Brew?
Huge favorite.
KD is such a favorite over LeBron.
No. These teams right now, with the Lakers being in the situation they are with the injuries, it's so lopsided, the talent difference. Like if you had a draft of players outside of LeBron, the top 5, maybe 6, I mean, Kevin Durant, Şengün, Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd might all go before the next Laker. And then I think Ime Udoka is a better coach than JJ Redick. I think both are good, but I think I'd take Ime. But,
Ime certainly has accomplished
arguable.
more. I think this year JJ did a better job than Ime.
Yeah, you can go with that. But I think Ime has a little advantage there. So shame on the Rockets if they don't take the Lakers out. In fact, with the talk, can Luka get back for a game 6 or something? If you're the Rockets, this should not go 6. This should go no more than 5 games with the Lakers currently constituted as they are, because LeBron may be great in this series, but he's to a large degree by himself. And he's not going to be able to defend like he had been over the past month because he's exhibiting so much energy on offense. Amin Thompson is a great defender. You might put him on him with all his length. Like, there is just no reason for the Rockets to lose this series. And if they do, like I said, shame on Kevin Durant, Ime Udoka, and the whole Rocket staff.
So, yeah, this line says Vegas does not have any of the optimism that I do about a triumphant Luka return. That if there was minus 750 is a massive favorite. And it's interesting because that they're only, if you will, and I know it's in LA, 4.5-point favorites in game one. So, it's on the board, obviously. The Lakers win game one, according to Vegas, but it's not on the board at all that they win the series. I am not picking the Lakers to win this series begrudgingly. I wish I could. I will be rooting for the Lakers, and I'm very excited to see how far LeBron can pull this. And I reserve the right,
of course,
to change my mind if Luka comes back.
Or even if the Lakers win game one.
You were
if
always
they win game one, you're definitely going to think they're going to win the series.
But I mean, so with that said, the path to a Lakers victory is they obviously, and you don't usually put it this way, but have to get a split at home in the first two games, and they have to hope that one of those games in Houston, the Rockets' late game woes that we have seen all year long, and the Lakers, who again, it's very hard to look at any Lakers stuff and be like, they've been great at this when this isn't the team they've been. But I do think a lot of the Lakers' late game excellence is LeBron.
Well, and they're number one in the clutch.
Right. And so, but again, how much of that is Luka and Austin and they're gone? But that if it's close late, that there's a lot of the Rockets don't have a point guard, Kevin Durant turnovers, and LeBron doing good late game stuff. I know the Rockets' numbers are that of an excellent offensive team. I think a lot of that is buttressed by early in the year when they were such a great offensive rebounding team.
Right.
It made their offense
Adams,
look better than it actually was. But even though I don't think they're a great offensive team, I think they will look like a great offensive team against this Lakers team, because I know it's weird to be like losing Luka and AR kills the Lakers defense, but it does because of the role change for LeBron. And I personally think one of the reasons Luka's defense is too often maligned is I think other teams' offense gets worse to some degree by how much he exhausts their players when he's on offense. And, the Lakers just become easier to defend without those guys, which means the other team's going to be able to execute better on offense. So, to me, this is not about KD versus LeBron.
No.
This is about, I think that LeBron is demonstrating, even though KD's going to be on all NBA teams, LeBron had the worst statistical year of his career. I think LeBron's been demonstrating since Luka went out, he could still put up stats like KD is. It's just not his role with the team and had not been his role with the team.
Lost to the Mavs, beat the Warriors, beat the Jazz. Are you thinking sweep, gentleman's sweep? I think LeBron's going to put up numbers, but I don't know.
I think the Rockets win in 6.
6?
6 is,
you're right there on the verge.
6 is not always
6
close.
Is maybe Luka could be better.
Listen, Luka gets back from Spain tomorrow, and so will be reevaluated. Will be reevaluated by the Lakers tomorrow. LeBron also, Brew, those last 3 games prior to the Utah game, he had not had a 3-game stretch with that many points and assists, but both basically 28 and 13 a night is what he was averaging since the Lakers championship season. He had not had a stretch of that high volume scoring and assisting simultaneously in 6 years. So it seemed like he did also kind of time his playoff ramp up as far as his body, but the team's just not there.
Or just in pencil, what are you thinking in the series? Not predictions week.
5.
Yeah. You cannot put on a tuxedo and play the piano. You said to start the year you were going to be rooting for LeBron.
I am rooting for LeBron.
So you cannot celebrate
not
an
celebrating.
injured, battered Lakers team getting beaten in 5 without their 2 of their 3 best players.
We'll see what the audience says.
Nobody likes that character.
People love that
Nobody
character.
likes the gentleman where you're swirling your apple juice pretending it's scotch. Nobody likes
But
it.
if they do if they go 6 games, it's not going to feel great, but it's a little victory for the Lakers.
Yes, if they force a game 6, yes.
It's a little victory.
Then you got to get Luka out there. Like AD came out that one time for no reason.
Yeah,
just like limping around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here, everybody. Like,
Well, remember, Aaron Gordon played Game 7 on what appeared to be like a torn hamstring.
Unbelievable.
That was ridiculous.
guess what? Haunted him into the next year.
Yeah, that's
right.
that's a good
I
point.
wouldn't do that with Luka.
Head to Milwaukee, where reports are that Doc is, quote, departing and stepping down and is out. We're not using the word fired, okay? Maybe he takes a front office consulting job. All right.
That's what he was before he was in.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
remember? He's like, I got an idea for head coach.
Adrian Griffin was going 30-13,
Yeah.
which wasn't good enough.
Doc, they went 30-52, right, this year? And Doc and Adrian Griffin got fired
Doc
after
is
going-
97-103.
Yeah, but I think
I
this
don't
year
know
their
this
final
year.
record was 30-52. Adrian Griffin went 30-13.
Meanwhile, Giannis
Got
was
fired.
asked about his future. Here's what Giannis said about returning to the Bucks. Very good question. I don't know. It's not up to me. We'll see. What's next for Giannis in the Bucks?
Go ahead, bro.
I like Giannis.
Me too.
But like, get out, Giannis. Just make the trade demand public. Like, why? If he goes back to the Bucks next year, I want to declare a moratorium.
I think that's
We're
fair.
done talking about Giannis leaving. Then I know an extension maybe would be in play, but unless the Bucks are good, we should declare a moratorium.
Just like
on
we're
talking
not going
about
to
the
cover like Giannis implores Kyle Kuzma to lock in.
Yeah, it's just I think it is at this point the team needs to trade him. You have Giannis and you're terrible, okay? And it's better for him to go elsewhere. Now, Nick, here's the thing that they have to be concerned about. I think they've waited too long
Yes.
because he's 31 years old. He's coming off his worst injury season of his career. Played 36 games. The last couple of playoff outings, he's missed a few. Like last year, let me put it this way. This year, they don't make the playoffs. The last 4 years, I believe, they've gone out in the first round. A couple years ago in 2024, he was injured, played 3 of the 5 games in the playoffs. I think the last time they were in the playoffs, he may have missed the game. Like, he has been banged up over the last few years. So now I don't think you get as much as you would have gotten maybe at the trade deadline or last summer or something like that. So would Houston give up Şengün, Reed Shepherd, and picks?
Yes.
Now that could help. If not, that could help a Golden State or New York Knicks maybe get in there and get him. But I'm not sure they're going to get as much as they would have earlier by trading him.
Listen, I think both parties have handled this immaturely. And I almost wanted to use the word unprofessional, but I don't mean it in the traditional sense. I mean unprofessional, almost unadult. Like, part of being an adult and part of being in business is tough decisions and recognizing that sometimes in life you can't have everything and you need to decide on your own what is most important to me. And it feels to me like the Bucks and Giannis refuse to do that themselves. And I put as much, everybody focuses on why Giannis should demand a trade. I think just as much blame goes to why the Bucks, he doesn't have a no trade, why the Bucks didn't just execute a trade or, do this on their own. But both of them seem like they feel like, well, we want Giannis to be a Buck for life and we want to compete for championships. Those two things, it's like saying I want to play in Milwaukee and I want to live on the beach. They're in conflict. You can't do it. And the fact that in this press conference he was asked about signing the extension and he was like, well, I'd have to consider it. I do not feel like he is handling this as if professional basketball is his job. And I know that sounds harsh, but like, it's your job, man. And we all would love everything about our job to be perfect. And for some people, there was a period of time where it was, and that's probably what makes it so hard. He loved Milwaukee, and he was winning MVPs, and they were contending for titles. Everything was great. But now it's none of those things. And what I would say is, I do think it feels like his value is slowly going down. The playoffs can make teams, all of a sudden do rash things. And I'm not saying trading for Giannis would be a rash decision, but a team that maybe otherwise was like, no, we like our young players, we like what we're building. I'll give you the team that I've been saying has the best trade package for Giannis, Atlanta. Atlanta right now, this moment's probably like, man, think about what we can be next year, like what we were the second half of the year. Let Atlanta, if they were to, I'm not even predicting this would happen, just get smoked by the Knicks. 4-0 or 4-1 with a few blowouts in there. Then all of a sudden they might be like, all right, we're not as close as we wanted to believe we were. Like what you're saying about Houston. Let Houston lose to the Lakers. And again, I don't think that's going to happen, but they might all of a sudden be like, everyone's available. And so maybe Milwaukee comes out the other side of this, but at this point, if I'm the Bucks, I'm not that concerned about what Giannis wants.
No.
And I know they feel like they have to offer him that max extension. I don't feel that way. I feel like they have to pay him what his contract is, and they have to do what's best for the team, which is to trade him for the best package available.
It's another year of one of the marquee faces of the NBA sitting and watching the playoffs, or at least deep into the playoffs. It feels like a long time ago where he's like, what's failure? I'll be back next year. Like, yeah, I guess not.
Nearly home. Isn't home where we all want to be? Reba here for Realtor.com, the pros' #1 most trusted app. If you're hearing me, I'm going to assume you're awake. And if you aren't, because while you're snoozing, someone else might be finding your dream home. That's where Realtor.com comes in. With over 500,000 new real listings straight from the pros every month, that's a lot of chances to find the place you've been dreaming of. Whether you're searching for a 2-story mid-century with a pool or a little extra space with a spa-inspired bathroom, Realtor.com can help you find it today. So quit hitting that snooze button. Realtor.com isn't sleeping on finding your dream home, and neither should you. Download the Realtor.com app today, 'cause you're nearly home. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Pros #1 most trusted app based on August 2024 proprietary survey. Over 500,000 new listings every month based on average new for sale and rental listings. February 2024 through January 2025.
Travis Hunter took to social media to respond to reports that he's going to be a full-time corner and just a contributor on offense. He retweeted the video in which the report was reported and wrote, "Now who told you this? Your reaction to Travis's reaction."
So this is odd. So James Gladstone, the GM of the Jags, in January alluded that this was probably going to happen on the record on video. Last year, Travis played when he played 67% of the snaps on offense, and 33% on defense. It sounds to me like what they're saying is that they're going to flip that. And that he is, and what Gladstone alluded to was, we have one position that has a lot of guys that we're going to lose in free agency, which was corner, and one position where we have a lot of depth, which is wide receiver. So we'll probably use Travis as such. So I didn't view Rappaport's report, which was actually him quoting Cameron Wolf's report, which Cameron Wolf I think was just kind of quoting what Gladstone had said on the record as, massive breaking news. It is, however, if Travis Hunter's pissed about it.
Well, that's the thing.
If Travis is upset that they're like, hey, you're going to be our starting CB1, our top outside corner, and a situational receiver, and that's not what he wants, I think that is problematic, and he has said in the past, remember, he was like, I'd quit football if I couldn't play both ways. And now they're not saying, Brew, he can't play both ways, but the fact that he responded to that somewhat innocuous report by, putting up a wall against, I thought was noteworthy.
Yeah, and you would think he knows what Gladstone said, but sometimes guys just get away, and maybe he didn't see it. They may be telling him, though, face-to-face or on the telephone, whatever it is, yeah, you're going to play both ways. But in their mind, they're thinking sporadically on offense or occasionally on offense, but the full focus will be defense. It's very possible they haven't articulated to him, you're not going to be full-time both ways. And they're just playing with words or whatever it might be. But he clearly has made it clear he wants to play both ways. The smart thing, though, is what they're doing. I just don't believe he can survive. I think his best chances of being a star are to play one side of the ball primarily, whether it's offense or defense. Apparently it's going to be defense. You can do spot work on the other side. If he plays both ways, I don't think he'll be a star on either side. Maybe he'll be okay, but this is what's best for him. They gave it a try. He got hurt. It also increases your chances of injury if you're going both ways. So
he got hurt at practice, though.
Yeah, but that may be just the wear and tear from playing in the game. And he's not a big guy. And I get it, cornerbacks, but he seems slight even as a cornerback to me.
Did this not hit your radar at all, KW?
Well, when again, it's been a little bit of a reporting and quotation
telephone
gray area, let's say, on what does full-time corner mean? What does contributor mean? Even like there's a lot of wide receivers who you could look at them and say, like, well, you actually only contribute on offense because you're only out there for 40% of the snaps.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big game of telephone, and I think Travis Hunter's role is not going to be vastly different than it was last year. I don't think so.
Except you do think it'll flip, though, right? Last year he played way more receiver than corner. They are saying.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I expect him to play more defense, but I don't think that this reporting and even Gladstone's quotes, because I read 2 Gladstone's quotes, and again, I'm not listening to the source. I'm listening to the stuff that has been.
But to your
reported.
point, if you said he played 30-some-odd% of the plays on defense,
correct.
That's kind of part-time.
Yeah, so I think
it could flip.
Here's what I think the Jags' plan is, and I just think they need to make sure they're on the same page with Travis. And I would have thought they were until this quote tweet by him. If you are our number one corner, you don't really leave the field on defense.
Yeah.
That's one of the only positions on defense that you do not rotate out. Right. Like if you are, when Christian Gonzalez is healthy, he's out there like 97% of the snaps. If you're not the slot corner, you're not a safety, you're not a rotational D lineman, you're out there. So you're going to be playing almost every defensive snap. And then, as Coach Mangini suggested specifically, we will work you in on offense. There isn't a wide receiver that plays the only positions on offense that play 100% of the snaps are the lineman and the quarterback.
Yep.
All the wide receivers regularly train, so even if you're a full-time wide receiver, you play more football, so to speak, which is really what it seems like he wants to do. He just really wants to play as much football as possible, is the team's top corner. I think message that, the red zone package, that can work. Right. I wouldn't give up on him being an impact receiver in certain ways, but they need corners. I thought in college, I agree with you on this, Brew, he was better at corner, and I think that last year, again, his first half of his rookie year, I didn't think he was great at either, and so that's the part that probably needs some adjusting. I wouldn't give up on it, but that's the part that needs
something to watch. I think our prediction, Liam Cohen quote clarifying the situation is up next.
Okay.
Not up next after the break, but that will be our next.
But will it really clarify it?
Yes.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Live from New York, the show that's reminding you that Joe Mazzulla does not want to be Coach of the Year, bro. He said it's a stupid award.
Doesn't matter.
Might be too bad for you, Joe. You might have to grudgingly accept that.
Second hour, first things first. He doesn't want it. Today, who has more on the line, LeBron or KD in round one? Feels like LeBron is going to put up numbers even in a close sweep. People are going to be like, good job, LeBron. Meanwhile, are the Thunder destined for an early exit? History says yes, and so does one person here, including the staff. But right now, we're 10 days into the NFL draft. Nick is one of the most accurate draft prognosticators on the globe. He was globally recognized, okay? We're on the clock with the first pick. And the first things
right,
first,
KW, you
mock draft 2.0. You're globally recognized.
All right, this pick will not change in any of the 4 mock drafts. I try to take a little creative liberty with mock draft 2.0, but number 1 pick has been set in stone quite some time. Fernando Mendoza to the Las Vegas Raiders. We all know that. The number 2 pick is where things change up significantly. The Jets decide with Geno Smith in a must-win year, you know what? Let's get Garrett Wilson some help.
You're viewing this as a must-win?
If you're going to get to the promised land, you
certainly
need
is
somebody
for
to
the
catch
head coach.
the football.
Yeah, for the head
Multiple
coach
guys.
it is. And shock the draft by taking Carnell Tate, Ohio State receiver,
shock the draft.
number 2, which shakes up everything a bit. The Cardinals, I think the need is Sonny Styles. I've had Sonny Styles with them in both of the drafts, which all of a sudden means Arvell Reese, who a lot of people think is the best player in the draft, is available for a Titans team that, you know what they need more than anything? Good players.
Yeah.
They've got 1 or 2. So they go Arvell Reese instead of Jeremiah Love. The Giants with Harbaugh, I think, are going to try to shore up that offensive line even more. The Browns obviously need offensive line help as well, which means all of a sudden, Jeremiah Love is on the board at number 7 to pair with Jaden Daniels in a very dynamic, probably the fastest quarterback, running back backfield maybe of all time. Reuben Bain goes 1 spot earlier than he did in mock draft 1.0, so he's not there for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, however, would be utterly thrilled if the draft fell this way. Some people think David Bailey, while probably not a 3-down backer at this point, might be the best pure pass rusher in the draft. The Chiefs take pass rusher just like they did in mock draft 1.0. And then the Bengals make a smart move. They had excellent safety 5 years ago. They didn't re-sign him. They let him go down to Atlanta, where he was an excellent safety for them. They try to not repeat that mistake, years down the road, but they finally replace him with Caleb Downs, one of the best all-around players in the draft.
That would be great.
And that would be great for them. And I do think if he's available, that would be the pick for them. That is the first 10 picks of mock draft 10.0 with a shakeup caused by Carnell Tate going number 2.
So we'll go back to 2. Jets taking Carnell Tate. Last year, Garrett Wilson led the Jets in receiving yards and touchdowns, but the numbers, 395 and 4 touchdowns in 8 games. Do you think this is a mistake, Brew, if the Jets went wide receiver at 2?
I would, and it's nothing to do with Tate. He is a talent, but I'm looking at it like a couple years ago, you had 2 great receivers, Garrett Wilson, who you still have, and Devontae.
Sure.
Right. And then you had a better quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I know it wasn't prime Aaron Rodgers, but he's still better than Geno Smith, and you won 5 games. So they need to – last year they were 31st in the league in points allowed, and they had no interceptions and were dead last in takeaways. They need help on the defense end. So you had on your draft a lot of defensive players after Sonny Styles or whoever it might be. Go for one of those guys, shore up the defense. And look, Geno, if he has another bad year, which is obviously on the board, let's say you drafted Tate. So Geno doesn't play well this year. Now you've got 2 A-level receivers, let's say Tate really plays well, and no quarterback to throw him the football. So I just feel like that would not be a smart pick.
Listen, I think a lot of what you said is probably accurate.
This is why it's 2.0.
And I think the Jets are, when it's all said and done, going to have a hard time not going with one of the 2 Ohio State linebackers in Styles or Reese, or David Bailey, who in this draft went all the way down to 9. However, I'm very confident they're not going Jeremiah Love. I'm very confident they're not going offensive lineman because they've gone offensive lineman in each of the previous 2 drafts. And I'm very confident they're not going quarterback at 2. So if they were to decide, you know what, we're going to go offense, this would be the player they pick. And so that's the, logic for it.
I like it. All right, let's look at pick number 7, Jeremiah Love to the Commanders. Team up with Jaden and new OC David Blau. Brew, how dangerous would a Love-Jaden combination be? Nick took a veiled shot at Derrick Henry and Lamar.
That duo did come to my mind. They're a little
I think
older.
these guys would be faster than them.
I think Lamar, I don't know, he didn't run the 40.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaden and Lamar are probably comparable speed.
Henry is fast. Now he's probably faster than Derrick
okay,
Henry
fair enough. It wasn't,
at this point.
intentional.
That would be dynamic. Because, look, Jaden in his great rookie year also led the Commanders in rushing. And so he needs help. We know, obviously, he's had trouble staying healthy. And so to have a running back that you can give the ball to, they haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since he's been there. And so this would help in that regard. And he's a great receiver. That's the thing, right? Not only, you put him in the slot. You can even stretch him out. He is a legitimately good receiver, so that will help. But also imagine him in the check downs and then running after catch. I just think he'd be a great weapon for them. You already got Terry McLaurin. That'd be great for them.
I do wonder, so Daniel Jeremiah, in his latest mock, had Jeremiah Love falling to 9 and the Chiefs taking him. Just even though they already have Kenneth Walker.
Would you like that? Yes.
That's a little much. It's not what I would do, but if he is as good of a receiver as it looks like, you could have them both on the field at the same time. But it's not the reason I even brought it up is I do think that if the Titans don't draft Jeremiah Love, I don't think the Giants or the Browns are in the it feels like the Raiders at 1, the Jets at 2, the Cardinals at 3, Giants, Browns at 5 and 6. Are not going to be in the Jeremiah Love business. So
now, I could see the Giants.
Because of Harbaugh
he always has had a good run game.
Potentially, I just feel like Harbaugh's first draft pick with the Giants is going to be a big person.
I think it's just going to be exactly like his brother. Yeah, let's just beef up the
offensive line. And so, point is, I could see a scenario where Love drops a bit more. The Titans seem to be the home for him, but if not, I think he would be there at 7.
Can I ask a question about this draft or the way that the mock draft is moving forward? Am I just a simpleton for thinking that head coaches who have made their resume on defense like Dan Quinn are going to lean toward a defensive player? I'd have to go back through a few drafts and sort of...
No, I think it is overwhelmingly likely that Washington, and they need help on defense.
Yeah.
That Washington does take a defensive player. I think that the only offensive player, I guess they could go offensive lineman. I think they might, though, fall in love with the idea of this supporting Jaden through this player in the backfield. Mm-hmm. And so they feel like they have their receivers. Jaden bounce back year.
CMC-esque.
So
I'm sure they don't want him running as much, even though he's great at it.
All right, back to the draft. Miami on the clock.
Miami, the good thing about doing mock drafts for Miami is they need literally everything.
Yeah.
They take the top corner in the draft, Mansour Delane out of LSU. The Cowboys, it's probably a bit of a reach, but they desperately need a true off-ball linebacker. They get the best in this, or I don't know if he's actually the best in the draft, but probably the best one-position linebacker. You could say Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles or a multi-position might be better, but C.J. Allen there. Kenyon Sadiq, the best tight end and maybe the only first-round tight end, goes to the Rams, which is maybe their only, I don't want to say position of weakness on offense because they have 3 tight ends they like. But remember the Rams last year were running a ton of 2 and 3 tight end formation. None of those guys super dynamic. Sadiq is. The Ravens upgrade the interior of that offensive line with the best interior offensive lineman in the draft. The Bucs take Reuben Baines' teammate Messidor out of Miami, another edge rusher there. The Jets at number 16, with the pick they got for Sauce Gardner, gets a corner in Avion Terrell out of Clemson to try to supplement, that loss there. All of a sudden, the Lions need help on the offensive line. They go with Monroe Freeling, the big tackle out of Georgia. The Vikings, for the first time in a decade, won't have Harrison Smith patrolling their defensive backfield. Dylan Tunneman, the safety out of Oregon, the Purdue transfer, steps in there. I think this is probably more the range that he will go in. Mock Draft 1.0, I had him falling all the way down to 29. I don't think that's likely anymore. The Panthers need help again getting to the quarterback, Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. And then the Cowboys, who need help all through their secondary, take the corner, Jermod McCoy, out of Tennessee.
All right, let's look at the Rams. They grabbed tight end Sadiq at 13. This pick coming over from the Falcons. Rams had the number one offense in points and yards, Brew. Tight end Colby Parkinson, 29th among tight ends in yards, but tied for second most TDs with 8 grabs in the end zone. If they draft Sadiq, do you think they're repeating as the number one offense?
Man, I mean, adding him, was he running a 4.3?
Yeah.
Fastest tight end ever. He's not, much of a blocker, but he's a dynamic receiver. And you got to pay attention to Puka and Devontae Adams. Like, the only question, honestly, because they even got a good running back in Kyron Williams, would be, does Stafford fall off at all because of age? If he doesn't, then their offense would be incredibly dynamic. So yeah, this would definitely fit the bill for them.
This is kind of taking a tight end this high, particularly a tight end that isn't really a complete tight end.
Right.
Like he's a
almost
great
a receiver.
Right. He's kind of a big slot receiver is another way to look at him. Is kind of a luxury pick, but I think the Rams are, have the benefit of being able to make a luxury pick. I think they have a very, very solid overall roster. They have drafted incredibly well in the middle rounds. They obviously traditionally have not had a bunch of first-round picks to work with. I think taking Sadiq at 13 would be a bold move, a type of move I could see Les Snead making.
All right, Steelers on the clock at 21.
Listen, some people think this guy, Emmanuel McNeil-War, is a better safety than Tunneman from Oregon. The Steelers spend more money on defense than any team in the league. They also, despite spending all that money, they have old Jalen Ramsey patrolling that defensive backfield. I think McNeil-War would be a nice addition for them. The Chargers start a run on wide receivers. Jordan Tyson, the first receiver off the board since Carnell Tate at 2. The Eagles then take Omar Cooper Jr. to potentially fill a coming void from A.J. Brown. The Browns then take Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC, as we go wide receiver in the early 20s. The Bears, the Bears all of a sudden need a tackle. We talked about this. Their left tackle tore his patella tendon in the postseason last year. They take Blake Miller from Clemson. The Bills, I feel like, still need a receiver. I know that Brandon Beane might disagree with those radio guys about it a year ago. I think at this point he probably agrees with them. They take Denzel Boston out of Washington. The Niners do have to start thinking about life after Trent Williams, not necessarily for this year. Caden Proctor could be a great, I don't know that he's ready to play right away, which is not ideal as a first-round pick. But if you're going to learn from someone, learning from Trent Williams, you can't teach that frame and athleticism, and so he could maybe be your swing tackle as a rookie and then step in.
There's an idea he could go super high too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there is. It's certainly on the board. Somebody falls in love with the measurable.
Yeah.
Like, he is such a great athlete and he is so huge, but it also seems like there is real worry about him on day one being ready to, block NFL defensive ends because of technique issues. Again, I don't pretend to be an expert on this, but I think he could, vacillate. The Texans, for the 5th consecutive year, need to upgrade the offensive line. Yep. So they go Iheanacho out of Arizona State. The Chiefs, with the pick they got for trading away Trent McDuffie, take Colton Hood out of Tennessee. Injury questions with him, but not a lot of talent questions at all. The Miami Dolphins, with the pick they got for Jalen Waddle, take a wide receiver who would be the 6th wide receiver taken in the first round, KC Concepcion out of Texas A&M. Patriots probably a little bummed to see 6 wide receivers go off the board ahead of them, so they pivot to Ohio State defensive lineman Caden McDonald. You would expect that Mike Vrabel would have good insight on, that position, but that school in particular. And the final pick of the first round for the Super Bowl champions, Cassius Howell, edge out of Texas A&M.
All right, let's go back to 23. Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana had some big catches, none bigger than this. That was catch of the year.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown replacement, question mark, bro.
Look, I think he'd be a good one. You see he's physical, right? He's kind of big and he can run after the catch, which is what you think about when you think of A.J. Brown. And so I do think he'd be a good replacement, especially when I think he'd pencil in at number 2.
Correct.
Behind Devontae Smith. And when you add, they also added Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks, who may not be as good as you hope he is, but that's a good group of receivers, so he won't be like carrying it all by himself. I actually think if they're going to trade Brown, he would be a good pick at 23.
This would be a shocking pick if they went wide receiver.
It just means they
Why?
definitely trade Brown.
I would just, it would be a big signal that they're trading A.J.
Right.
Brown. And we did this with quarterbacks a while ago, and maybe just the draft is super wide receiver heavy. Do you think, and the problem is I like Omar Cooper a lot.
No, but go ahead.
Like, how do you feel comfortable taking the 6th or 7th wide receiver in the first round?
Well, I mean, but he would be the 3rd.
Oh, he's
so
the, okay.
he's the 3rd. The KC Concepcion for the Dolphins was
Gotcha.
so
that position nowadays.
I think
so
most
stacked.
people believe that Carnell Tate's the best receiver in this class, and then I think there is real debate between Lemon, Tyson, and Omar Cooper as far as who is the 2nd best receiver in this class. So maybe some people actually think Denzel Boston is, but at least the first 3 I mentioned, and maybe the 4 including Boston, all have different folks who think they are the next best guy. You might even have a few people who think one of those guys is better than Carnell Tate. I think those guys are wrong. But I just think if Devontae Smith is going to be your wide receiver 1, having a guy that is as good run after the catch and as physical as Omar
like
Cooper
is
right. He's not as tall or as I think quite as physically imposing as A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown might be the most physically imposing receiver in the NFL outside of DK Metcalf. I just think that fits well. I think the Eagles are going offense in the first round, and I think it will either be a tackle as a Lane Johnson replacement for the future, or a receiver to step in for A.J. Brown, because I think they are trading A.J. Brown. I think the Hollywood Brown and the Dontavian Wicks moves have made it to where they don't have to take a receiver in the first round, but I still think they might do it.
All right. Is Jalen Brunson worried about the Hawks? That's next on First Things First. That was a good mock draft 2.0.
That was good.
Thank you. We really get brass tacks it on Monday.
Yeah.
3 points.
That's when you start to really.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
Right here on FS1, Pete Crow Armstrong, the real deal. The Cubs take on Bryce Harper and the Phillies. Get your popcorn ready. A little T.O. reference. Tonight, 6 Eastern, only on FS1.
KW, did you check to see who's in dead last in all of Major League Baseball?
Oh, check to see who's on a 2-game winning streak, or maybe 3-game winning streak. It's the Boston Red Sox.
Still,
Check to see how many. Check
still
to see
the fewest wins.
How
of
many
any team in
times?
baseball.
How many
bad,
times has? I'll save it for fast.
Fewest wins of any team in baseball.
First up, fast break. Rockets Lakers starts in LA Saturday night. Lakers have home court, but the Rockets are huge faves. If LeBron were to pull this off, what would a round 1 victory mean?
All right, Brew, tell me what you think of this. The three most non-title, most impressive non-title moments or accomplishments of LeBron's career.
Of LeBron's career.
I will order them in chronological.
I love this. This is going to be a good segment.
At 22 years old, leading that 07 Cavs team past Detroit into the NBA Finals.
You said that's number one.
That's in the top three. I'm not ordering.
Okay.
I'll let you can. So I would say that is in my top three. His finals performance in 2015 against Steph and the Warriors without Kevin Love, without Kyrie, the 36-13. 2015. When they, went up 2-1, he averaged 36, 13, and 9 for the series. And the entirety of, and he was age 30 at that point. And the entirety of, I would say, the 2018 playoff run, his last year in Cleveland, 8 40-point games, the 2 buzzer beaters, culminating in that 50-point game 1 of the finals that they lost, that at age 33. To me, those are the 3 best accomplishments, most impressive accomplishments for LeBron that are season seeded and win the title, where they didn't end in the championship. Beating the Rockets single-handedly, if Luka and AR don't come back for a single game, would make that, crack that list.
Really?
Yeah, I think
one of those 3?
Yeah, I think it might, at age 41, 23 years in, beating a Rockets team that, yes, they've dealt with injury, but this is the team they have been for basically the last 50 games. That is as a, plus 550 underdog, whereas you put, and Danny said last week, 5 of the 6 best players in this series are on the other team, and your contemporary, except he's younger than you, Kevin Durant, is on the other team, plus he's got a fully, basically fully healthy squad around him. I might find that more impressive than the 2015 finals without Kyrie and Kevin Love, given the age. He was 30 years old when he did that. He was 33 his final year in Cleveland. At 41, year 23, winning this series, I think it would do that because it will take such a Herculean effort from him.
It would be wildly impressive. I wouldn't put it above any of those 3 because it's the first round. And it's a very flawed Houston team. I would actually, while giving LeBron tons of credit, if obviously he'd have to play great if they do that, his numbers would probably be crazy.
Just kill Houston.
Yeah. I mean, it would be more of an indictment on Kevin Durant and Ime Udoka and the rest of them as well. But those 2 mainly, Durant just can't let this happen. And I don't know. I mean, I know he wants to win. I don't know if it's as drives him as much as some other guys. He wants to improve at the game. But he's got to, look at this I got to win this. I want him to be I got to win this series. This team brought him in to win a championship. Now, it's gone so poorly that that's no longer even on the board. Nobody's even thinking that. And if they win this first round, get beat, obviously, by Oklahoma City in the second round, nobody's really going to kill Durant and the Rockets. No. But he was brought in to be the final piece, right? Mm-hmm. They were the 2nd seed last year, so they thought they could win. But it would be great for LeBron, just because it's the first round, and a first round win that would really catapult itself into that top 3, as you mentioned, would have to be over OKC. Really, it'd have to be some humongous upset where he wouldn't have a chance.
For LeBron.
Yeah. For me to put it with that, that Detroit, to me, that by far is his greatest achievement, non-title achievement.
I think that, I think the 07 playoff run to the finals and the 2018 playoff run to the finals are, 2 of the greatest accomplishments of his career, or in my opinion, of any career, even though they didn't win the title. I think this is where I think he is a bit of from a narrative standpoint, victim of his continued high level of play. Nobody cares that he's the oldest player in the league and that he's played 23 years when it comes to this. The reason that the Lakers are plus 550 and not plus 1,500 is the little kernel of, maybe LeBron does something crazy, and that's wild for,
It's actually respect.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. Usually we'd be like, oh, my gosh, a 41-year-old averaging 21 points a game. But it's respect because he's been so
Doing
great
it for so long.
consistently. Yeah, he hasn't had a dip.
Well, on the flip side, if LeBron retired, everyone would be like, wow, Kevin Durant, the old man, still getting
and
it done.
Steph.
Yeah.
No one even talks about Durant being old.
Yes.
Right.
He's very old, too.
He and played the second most minutes of anyone in the whole league this year.
Isn't that amazing?
Most minutes was Amen
Really,
Thompson.
Durant? Wow.
Yeah. Ime Udoka pressing the play my best players button.
Exactly.
3-6 matchup. We'll see Anthony Edwards back in Denver. What are the chances, Brew, the Wolves can pull off the upset over Joker and the gang?
I'm giving them a 25% chance. Now, some people might think that's low. I don't look at look, I think the Wolves are a tougher matchup for them than who was it going to be? Houston? If they had lost, however it would have laid out. But I think people are overstating how they've got the Nuggets number because they beat them a couple years ago in Game 7. Remember, that was a huge comeback. I think they were down 20.
Yes.
And they had this huge comeback. Great win in Denver. So that was fantastic. But this year, they were 3-1 against Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota has their number like we feel they did a couple of years ago. And Denver's getting healthy. Now, if Anthony Edwards has not looked like himself for a month now. Now, he played pretty well Friday when they played the Rockets. I think he had 22 points, 27 minutes. But he's still, I'm not sure he's 100%. And for them to have a legit chance, he's going to have to not only be 100%, he's going to have to be on fire. And I would love to see it. Believe me, I'd love to see him face the Wemby and the Spurs in the second round than Denver. So I give him a 25% chance, but I think the Nuggets will win this series.
Listen, I know you're not a gambler, but those odds we have on the screen, the implied percentage of that is almost exactly 25%.
Really? Okay.
So you're in line with Vegas. I am not. I give them 10%.
Really?
Oh, I thought you thought it was going to be closer.
No, I would be stunned if Denver loses this series. I don't give. And this is more about the respect for Denver and maybe lack of respect in some degrees for the overall quality of the Rockets. I don't give the Timberwolves much more of a chance than I give the Lakers. I think that I would be equally surprised by the Lakers upsetting the Rockets as I would by the Timberwolves upsetting the Nuggets. I think this is the best. I think this has a chance to be the best Nuggets team that we've seen. And that first Nuggets team, the little but some people, I don't think really
you
fairly.
Mean when they won the championship?
Yes, put on the title is, they played a play-in team in the finals in Miami. The path was not exactly the most. They played a Lakers team that nobody thought was going to get there, in the conference finals. This is the opposite of that path. This would be a team that beat you, then the Spurs, then the defending champs.
This would be a historic.
This would be a historic run, and I think they can do it. And so I don't think the Timberwolves have looked right. It feels like they, I don't want to say sleptwalked, but just, we're on a bit of a cruise control throughout the regular season. And the tax of that is, okay, you get Denver in round 1. Sorry, guys, but that's what you get. So I would be shocked if Minnesota wins this series.
Yeah, they're up and down, inconsistent. But these last 2 years when they've gotten to the conference finals, we have not expected it.
That's true.
They kind of play to
I've underestimated them every year in the playoffs. That's totally true.
They can utilize Rudy in a funny way.
Yeah, Rudy's had a good
Ant can explode.
He's got to explode. He's going to have to explode.
If he doesn't, it'll be interesting to make a list. We should maybe do it as a segment. We know the stars are under the most pressure. KD's under pressure, Shea's under pressure. We get that. The other tier of guys, Donovan.
I think Donovan's under a lot of pressure.
Anthony Edwards. When are we going to start talking about Anthony Edwards like we talk about Luka?
There's a feeling he doesn't have the pieces around him. Now, that might not be the case, but that's the feeling.
I also think back-to-back.
He benefits from that.
I think back-to-back conference finals helps him. Listen, Luka is unfairly maligned, in my opinion, and Ant, has been. Everybody loves Ant. But I also think people don't quite view him as quite the caliber of player.
That Lucas?
Yes,
No,
and so because of that, he's not held to the exact same standard.
Yeah.
I do want to say one thing, because I'm sure Timberwolves fans think that was too harsh by me. I think Minnesota might have been the unluckiest team by what happened Sunday. Because had the Spurs been able to beat Denver without Wemby, and they get the Lakers in round 1 and then this young Spurs team in round 2, they being Minnesota, I think Minnesota would have a very real chance of finding itself back in the conference finals for a third straight year. I just think Denver is a juggernaut right now. I think Denver's excellent.
All right, if the Knicks won yesterday, they would have faced the Raptors, who they have no problem beating. Instead, they lost and now take on the Red Hot Hawks. Should New York be worried?
They should. I mean, this is a tough first-round matchup. That's what I'll say. I expect the Knicks to win. I think, Nick, there's more pressure on the Knicks to win or get to the finals than any other team in the league.
Wow.
Boston's already won a championship, and you got the excuse of Jason Tatum's not himself.
Yep.
Detroit is they won, 14 games a couple years ago? So they're kind of young and up and coming. Cleveland, there's no expectations for Cleveland. We all are like, okay, I'm not trusting James Harden. Here's the thing about Donovan. I get it. He hasn't been to a conference final. But he's also a 6'1" guard. You know, we don't always expect that. Very few 6'1", 6'2"
Jalen
guards.
Brunson's a 5'11" guard.
Right, but he's also okay. That's fair. That's fair. But the Knicks fired a coach that got him to a conference final.
That part's true.
And so I think and then you go west, OKC, there's pressure to repeat, but nobody's repeated in 7 years. Spurs are young. Denver's got a ring. So I think there's more pressure on the Knicks. The Hawks, a week ago, it was 108-105 Knicks in a tight game.
Yep.
Like the Hawks have a better record than the Knicks post All-Star break. They're 20-6. Knicks are 18-9. Like this is just, I expect the Knicks to win, but this is just more trouble than you want in a first round matchup.
So KW, I guess it's finally time
To talk about the Hawks?
We just did. Listen, moderately concerned is my answer. I think that Brew's analysis, and it pains me to say this, is spot on.
You say it every
I do say it quite often. It still hurts. It's still the fact that I say it a lot doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I expect the Knicks to win, but I expect it to go 7.
7.
And
that would be disheartening as a Knicks fan.
And I think the biggest winner of this series is Boston. I think Boston's going to have, either the Embiid-less Sixers or the Magic, who might have had the Magic lost to against what was left.
That
of
was
Boston.
a worse loss than the Spurs.
I mean, that was horrifying. Yeah. They don't like each other. The coach so whoever Boston gets in round 1, I think that will be a quick, easy series, and they will be resting and waiting for, I think, the Knicks, but after a tough series against Atlanta.
I'm gonna say 6, but if it goes 7, whew.
Atlanta
7 in the Garden with Jalen Brunson. You worried about that?
No, but
he's
anything can happen in a game 7.
And it also takes a lot out of you.
Your favorite local grocery stores like Kroger, Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more are now delivering on Uber Eats. Get 40% off your order of fresh, quality ingredients. Whether you just got home to an empty fridge or suddenly got a craving to whip up something new, you can get everything you need delivered in as little as 25 minutes. Get 40% off your order with code Kroger2026. Plus, members get $0 delivery fees. Order now on Uber Eats. Orders of $30 or more save up to $25 and $4.30.26. See app for details.
In the next game, they lost 7-0 to Germany.
Well, that one wasn't good. Thunder looked to have a somewhat easy path to the finals, but as mentioned on this show several times, the champs have had a tough road to repeating. Going all the way back to the Raptors, no reigning champ has made it past the second round. So, are the Thunder destined for an early playoff exit?
I hate to say another thing that would stun me, but this one would stun me. I think the Thunder were some of the biggest winners of yesterday. I think if Denver had fallen to 4, absolutely, I would have been on here today, I think, saying that we're very in play to repeat history. because Denver at 4 would be playing them in round 2, and that they're going to continue that trend. But now in round 2, they are going to get most likely the Rockets, who I think they would trounce. Or if the Lakers have gotten there, I guess that we assume that means Luka's back. If Luka's back and at full strength and Austin's back, I don't think Brew would. I would give the Lakers a shot.
Oh, yeah.
But
Now, what type of shot would you give them, percentage-wise?
1 and 4, 25%, something like that. But I think it's more likely that we see Luka than that we see Luka at full strength. I think Luka might come back if the Lakers extend round 1, but will he be fully operational Luka? And so this is the exact bracket they wanted, and they got it. And so getting the Spurs and the Nuggets both where you're only going to have to play one of them, and it would be the conference finals. We're not considering the conference finals an early exit, right? If they make the conference finals and lose?
No.
So my answer is no, I don't think they are. I didn't think we usually don't think these other teams are, and then they lose. But this would be stunning to me if they don't make at least the conference.
Yeah, I agree. No, they are not destined for an early playoff exit. Now, I will say this. We didn't expect Indiana to make the finals. We didn't expect Indiana to push OKC to 7, and who knows what would have happened had Tyrese Halliburton not gotten hurt. So, but I think one of the benefits for OKC, one of the things that they have going for them, I wouldn't be surprised if they feel a little bit disrespected in that so many people are talking about San Antonio. San Antonio did beat them handily in the regular season. So I just think that they have a lot of material where they can go to play the disrespect card. They can say, people only think we beat Denver last year because Aaron Gordon played on a bad hamstring. People only think we beat Indiana because Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. People think San Antonio's better than us. Despite our great record, number 1 seed, playing without our second best player all season, people think we aren't that good. Like this, they have a lot of ammunition for that.
I think we saw that in the Lakers game. I thought they were trying to beat the Lakers
make
by
a mess.
50
Yep,
points.
they were. They were sending a message.
Do you think but I haven't heard a lot of people say they don't think Oklahoma City's that good.
No, nobody's saying that good, but and I'm not even saying
it's real.
It's really out there, but they can drum up these, dragons in their minds, and Dagnall can use that to motivate guys.
Here, can I ask a question? I was talking about round 2. Which of the 4 play-in teams do you think would be the most likely to give OKC a series? Phoenix, Portland, Golden State, or the Clippers?
I would say they beat the Clippers 3-0. And both, I think almost all of them were double figures. I think one was 9 and the rest were blowouts. Because of Kawhi, I want to say them. Steph could maybe win a game by himself. He goes crazy, but I guess I would say the Clippers, but I don't give any of them.
I don't give any of them a chance. I think Phoenix would give them the best series. I think now that
Dylan
Brooks
can get under your skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Devin Booker's been to a finals. Devin Booker can go, can match Shea's scoring output or close to it. And so now I think Phoenix is probably going to beat Portland, so it won't matter. But they obviously get the winner of the second Western Conference playoff game. And so the loser of Phoenix-Portland is going to play the winner of Clippers-Warriors with the prize of probably getting your head handed to you by OKC. It would be fun if they could if somebody could get them to a Game 6 in round 1. That would be fun. I don't anticipate it.
Another 50-point win.
Didn't
they have that 50-point win in the first round?
Oh, yeah.
Last year?
Yeah.
Live from New York, it's The Real Deal. First things first, overtime. Today, championship or bust for the Knicks? We discuss. Meanwhile, are the Eagles planning for a post-A.J. Brown future? I've got June 1 circled on my calendar when a whole cap situation with the Eagles.
Oh, you've been scouring Spot Rack?
I don't scour it. I check it every day.
Okay, yes.
I just do the
scouring,
I don't need to scour. I just go to A.J. Brown page. It says June 1st, some cap thing.
Okay.
And finally, which starting quarterback needs help on their O-line. A little bit of draft talk. We're 10 days away alongside Chris Broussard, who's had a great show.
Can I answer that question?
Thank you, Lance.
Yeah, please.
Justin Herbert.
Are we going to more Justin Herbert conversations?
I mean, the Chargers might find their way into the offensive line.
I mean, of course, Justin Herbert needs help, man.
My goodness, how many linemen does he need?
I mean, well, last year he didn't have enough.
I know, they coming back.
Yeah, so get him more.
Kevin Wildes, Nick Wright, and Danny Parkins. We are starting in Los Angeles. The Lakers close out the season with
it's
win
5.5 now.
over the Jazz.
4.5.
Moving lines.
Oh, really?
4 seed waiting for the Rockets on Saturday. Here's J.J. Redick on LeBron's season.
He had not a good season, he had a remarkable season. All things considered, you take away the fact that he's in his 23rd year and he's 41 years old. He had a remarkable season. The fact that those things are real and they're very real in terms of the day-to-day management. It's unbelievable what he did this year.
I like that. Put a grade on LeBron's season, Parkins.
A+. If you were ever in a class that was graded on a curve, it's the type of thing where, like, it was a math class, it would only hurt me even more because I was just at the bottom of it. But, like, if you grade LeBron's season on a curve accounting for age, it's just remarkable, but it was good without it, I guess, is kind of the overarching point. Like, there were a bunch of different ways I could do the graphics here, but I wanted to just put age at the bottom and not filter it for it, basically not put the curve. Total list of players who were 20 points, 6 boards, 7 assists this year. It's 4 guys.
This is really a Jalen Johnson graph.
Yeah, and we'll talk Hawks Knicks in a little bit, but wanted to, because a young player, awesome athlete on an up-and-coming team, and then obviously a couple of MVP candidates in LeBron. And then if you wanted to filter for over 50% shooting, it's just Jokic and LeBron. So I can't remove age from the equation when discussing this year from LeBron because it's just so clearly beyond anything we've seen before for a guy over 40.
Yeah, I mean, if you factor in age, there's only one grade, and that's A+. Like, 41, 23rd season doing this, no question. And I'll throw in the adjustments that he's had to make, right? The going, and we really now, when Luka first got there last year, LeBron did adjust, show that he can defer and be the second role player, second option. But this year, he really he wasn't really playing that way early. They were kind of whose team, it was Luka's team, but him and Reeves back and forth, they're not playing a lot together. And then LeBron just decided after he was injured, he came back and played that third role, third option perfectly to perfection. They go on this run, and now Luka's out, Austin's out, so he takes over and goes back to being the number one option and plays well at it. If I haven't put together my all-NBA teams yet, and he's not eligible because of the 65-game rule, but he may have, had he been eligible, he may have found himself on the third team. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying he would be at least a guy name I'd write down as somebody I'll consider for that third team. So he's been fantastic, no question.
So the age part is stunning, but I think it's almost more noteworthy if we remove the curve like you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it both ways, so yeah, that's fine.
So because you said last week when we were talking about some Lakers topic, you just kind of said in passing, like, what does Luka do better than LeBron? Or it's about offensively, or as an offensive floor general, something like that. I'm not trying to misquote you. Right. And listen, I think Luka and Joker, in my opinion, with respect to Shea, the two best offensive players in the league. And what Luka does better than any player in the league is score. He is, literally the scoring champion. Now, maybe other guys could do it if they took as many shots, but he's not inefficient, those things. So I am not, and I do not think LeBron James at this moment in his career is as good of a player as Luka Doncic. I do think there is an argument that as far as floor general running an offense, LeBron's the best guy on the Lakers for that. And the fact that I think if I think that might be true, my guess is LeBron thinks it is definitively is true. LeBron probably thinks who's best to have the ball in their hands? Me.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And the fact that he accepted and maybe even on his own initiated, all right, I'm just going to have to change for us to win, not just deferring to Luka Doncic, but deferring to Austin Reeves. And I really like Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves and Bron seem to have a great relationship, and he's oddly one of Bron's longest tenured teammates of his whole career because he's been there, for LeBron's almost entire Laker career. To do that when he knew that he could still be putting up the numbers he's put up this week in service of winning, it's something that very few all-time greats across any sport willingly would do. And the fact that the moment Luka and Austin went down, he ripped off, as far as points and assists, the best 3-game stretch he's ripped off in 6 years. The last time he had that many points and that many assists over 3 games was the year they won the title. Right. Means he can still, as far as being the offensive engine, do not vintage LeBron, but earlier Lakers LeBron stuff, and took a different role in service of winning for a team that I felt, and I think you agreed with me until the OKC game, all of a sudden became an actual contender. Not an A-list contender, not top, but it was, all of a sudden it was, wait, they might be able to win the championship with LeBron doing this is, to me, the most stunning part of the season.
Yeah, I do think, remember I said it a few weeks ago, LeBron and Luka is great. But I think I was talking about when Luka's shooting too much, dribbling too much. I think when you have 2 big scoring options with you, I think LeBron is sitting there sometimes saying this is not the smartest way for us to play. But he also realizes that Luka can't do what LeBron decided to do. Neither can Austin. They have to have the ball in their hands, be top scoring options for them to be effective. And so he willingly, went to the other option. I just think when he's got the ball in his hands, he moves it a little more. LeBron was very ball dominant in his prime too. But I think now when he has the ball in his hands, he still passes it more than Luka does and doesn't dribble as much.
So if he had a remarkable season according to his coach, an A+ season according to you guys, they're the number 4 seed. And would have a chance at making a run if their guys were healthy. Why are we so enthusiastic to move him to another team? Why doesn't he just
think
run
personally,
it back with the Lakers?
I think he wants to stay with. I haven't talked to him or anybody like that, but I think he wants to stay with the Lakers. I think that's one reason he decided to play the other role, because all the talk was right before that. Lakers going to move on from LeBron, have cap room to go. But he showed them, look, I can be on this team and we can be effective. We still need other pieces, but I can be this third option and fit in and not step on Luka's toes, Austin's toes. That's my take on it. I think he wants to stay there. His whole family, at his age, does he want to move around to another city and all that?
Right. I think there is still some basketball redundancy with him and Luka, and he is the one who pivoted because of the reality of age. Mm-hmm. Because they made the deal for Luka, they're going to sign Luka. And he realized this is Luka's team. He's smart enough to realize that, so he made the choice. Yes, because he can, because of physicality, size, and all that. But also because the writing was on the wall. So I think if he wants to stay in L.A., this role's going to be the one he has to do it.
The role from before the guys got
before
hurt.
the injury.
Yeah, and so there's a lot there. I think that if LeBron were going to stay in L.A. and they were trying to have the best chance at winning a championship next year, I actually think that what Rich Paul said 4 months ago is still correct, which is moving Austin for better defensive pieces around Luka is that's the piece that he has massive value. He's an excellent scorer. His value only increased this year. I think that would be the move. But the day of the OKC game, it just came out, I think, yesterday or today. But LeBron and Steve Nash recorded a podcast before the injuries, but it was recorded the day of that game. And Nash asks LeBron about his role at the time. And he basically says what we're saying. I recognize this is what the team needed. And then he says, like while kind of chuckling, he's like, yeah, so it's cool for now. And then starts kind of laughing. I do think there's an element of being willing to do something because it is the best thing for this team is one thing, and then knowingly saying, this is going to be the role I play for the end of my career is different. And I think that's the decision he's going to have to make this offseason.
Well, the question is what team. Now, I do think the way he's playing now might make a team say, we could put the ball in LeBron's hands. But what team is that? Like Cleveland is not, that roster is not
No,
that
but I don't think he has
for
to
him.
be the number.
Maybe New York.
Maybe New York, maybe Golden State. Not necessarily the number one ball handler, because Jalen Brunson would be a lot of that, but not, there are a lot of places I think where he wouldn't be third. Where, you know what I mean, he would be the, for lack of a better term, in the Austin Reeves role to Luka. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the second option, it was third option that really just took, he was cutting to the basket, spotting up and playing defense, which again was good for the Lakers. I just don't know if that's how, and maybe it is, I don't know if that's the role he wants to play to end his career.
No. The Dallas quote when he said they put me on the shelf, it's not, you know what, I love my role. I'm on the shelf. No way. Hawks in New York on Saturday. Knicks looking to make a deep playoff run. And the pressure is mounting. Drew, you know how the back pages can be.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, clutch points.
Do they have a back page?
Yep, they just released a
Twitter
print. James Dolan adds more pressure to Knicks with stern NBA Finals expectations. Also, fan-sided. Knicks received championship treatment despite 53-year drought. And then finally, this is a classic one. Lupica's back. Real sense of urgency for championship or bust. Knicks. How much pressure?
Hold on, before Danny answers, I don't know if we can show that clutch points headline again.
Yeah,
James Dolan adds more pressure. If we can't, it's all right. The byline was Jackson Stone. I just want you guys to know. I'm just letting it says Jackson Stone, not Jackson Blade, and I'm not saying that's a mythological creature like Brew, but I am saying that caught my eye that was written by
Jackson Blade spelled with an X, I believe.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, sorry. As you were.
How much pressure?
Cool. I mean, listen, I like the rip from headlines, but they also fired Tibbs for making the Eastern Conference Finals and upsetting Boston. Like, actions over words. Yeah. Right? I mean, we don't do as much Larry O'Brien or bust as we do Super Bowl or bust, but I would assume the Knicks would have been the number one team on your list if that would have existed. You have to make the finals.
I think, Danny, I said it earlier, I think there's more pressure on the Knicks to make the finals than any team in the league.
And I think that is, of course, true.
Some people might say OKC, but they've won it. They've got one championship. No one's repeated in 7 years, so they would just be the latest to not do it. So, yeah, I don't think the Knicks, obviously you get there, you want to win it. It's been since 1973 that they won one. But I feel like the main pressure is get there.
Absolutely.
Win the East and get there. If they do that, then all is well. I mean, even though they'd be disappointed they didn't win the championship. But, yeah, they got to get there.
Well, I said it in the walk-in video. I heard you say it earlier today, too. Like, I think this series is going 7 in round 1. Atlanta, they might be just too young to not know what they don't know. And if all of this pressure's on the Knicks, they're a 4.5-point underdog in game 1. Like the Hawks, yes, a lot of it has been against bad teams. There's no doubt about that down the stretch, but you can say that for the entirety of the NBA. You mentioned, Brew, earlier that they have a better record since the All-Star break. It bears out in the numbers. Like if we just do tail of the tape since the All-Star break across the board in the Eastern Conference, the Hawks have just been better. Now, are they better? Do they have the playoff experience? I guess we're going to find out over the next couple of weeks, but I think the Knicks are a flawed team that has been better in some areas in the regular season that we'll see if that pays dividends in the postseason. You normally shorten your bench, so I'm not sure how much Mike Brown going a little bit deeper is going to ultimately matter here in round 1 when both of these teams have a break. But I don't expect them to come out of the East, and I think there's a lot of pressure on it. And if they don't go as far as they did last year, are they going to turn around and fire Mike Brown 1 year into that deal?
No chance.
I would.
Okay. But then why did you fire Tibbs?
Because I keep paying coaches.
I also think they felt that Tibbs had a track record of teams, peaking in the regular season and not being able to get over the hump.
But this is probably the last version of this Knicks team as presently constructed.
Well, look, if they go out early, what they should do is go get Giannis, period. And I think they will. And I was saying earlier to Nick, I don't think the market's going to be quite as high for Giannis. Not that it won't be high, but I don't think it'll be quite as high as it would have been a few months ago or a year ago.
I think that's right. To stay here for a second, one of the reasons, so I know it's weird to say you expect a series to go 7, but you'd be surprised if the other team won because anything could happen in a Game 7. The biggest edge for the Knicks in this series is games that are, if you got to go get a bucket late, and I really like this player, I like him as a person. He came on the show 7 years ago, sent us beautiful wine. But C.J. McCollum,
nice.
being the go-to, kind of clutch option for closer for Atlanta versus Jalen Brunson is a huge delta.
Right.
And that's, I think C.J.'s been awesome for them since they acquired him, and I think he's part of the reason for their turnaround, and he does bring some playoff experience to that team. I think that is where the Knicks have the biggest edge. I feel, maybe I'm wrong on this, I feel like there is massive, immense pressure on the Knicks in this round, and I don't feel like there's that much pressure on them after that. I think that
really
the basketball world expects them to lose to Boston.
The basketball world, but what about Dolan and the Knicks fans?
I think Knicks fans will be bummed. I think if they lose this round, it's a catastrophe and everything is on the table.
If they lose
and
to
I think
Boston,
if they lose to Boston,
it's a step backwards.
I understand.
One more
They
game.
beat Boston last year.
I think it's almost impossible to see them bringing back the Villanova Knicks plus Towns next year if they don't get to where they got last.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think they will make changes. It'll be Giannis, maybe LeBron, I don't know, but I think they'll make some changes. They should make changes.
I would be interested in Giannis and LeBron.
Well, no, I mean one or the other. One or the other.
Next question. Is it better if the Hawks, for the Knicks' long-term future, if the Hawks sweep them?
I don't think they're going to do if they beat it if they beat Atlanta and look good,
not both.
in beating Atlanta and lose a tough series to Boston, I do not think they're blowing up the Knicks. It does.
You don't think they would? I
think they would. I think they would, of course, be interested in getting Giannis. I don't know if they'll be able to. I think they would be interested in bringing in LeBron at the right price. I don't agree that they are all of a sudden going to make some massive franchise-altering trade if they lose to a Boston team that is flatly better than them. I understand that this year did not. That one of the reasons we had such high hopes, even hopes is maybe a better word than expectations, for the Knicks was because we thought Boston was eliminated. It was not because even though they won that series, I don't think a lot of us thought, well, the Knicks are just clearly moving forward better than the Boston Celtics. They beat them in that series, and credit to them. But one of the reasons the Knicks' expectations were where they were was we crossed off Indiana, we crossed off Boston. Boston's not a cross-off. They're the best team in the conference. I don't think if they get dog walked by Boston, that's one thing. If they lose like a tough game 6 in Boston to lose,
I don't think Leon Rose can run it. Like what's
that would be in New York,
if Dolan goes to Leon Rose's office, said, "What's your plan?" You can't say run it back.
I don't know that I agree with you. I don't think that you every year that you don't make one step further than you did the previous year doesn't mean you have to make some cataclysmic change. Last year they made the furthest. It was the best year they've had in a quarter century, and they made some massive change. Like, I don't think you have to do that every year. I just don't.
I mean, I don't think you fired a coach, but personnel changes, I think there'd be some.
I like their roster. I just don't think they're as good as Boston right now.
Head down to Augusta. Rory wins back-to-back Masters championships. Danny, you said you were super fired up about this. What did this mean for Rory?
I mean, it's one of my favorite sporting events of the sports calendar. And for Rory, I think it meant a ton. Obviously, he exercised the demons last year, and that was amazing. But like the Rory of pre-last year, if he blows that 6-shot lead, he can never get it back. And the fact that he was down 2 early against an awesome leaderboard and everybody else was the one who kind of collapsed around him, and then he made just enough great shots. It is like a validation that the old Rory, where I would watch him on Sunday of a major and expect him to collapse, that is now officially gone. And then the all-time stuff just starts to get really fun and interesting. Like, did it lock him in as a top 10 golfer of all time? This is the list of guys, 30 or more wins, 6 or more majors, and it's a who's who of the guys who matter in golf.
Really screwing over old Tom Morris Sr. and Jr.
I understand.
So who was on the outside? Who did he jump?
But Faldo, he jumped Faldo.
So Faldo would be one. And then, like, Nick, you said definitively that you have him above Phil. I think that's now the debate for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's better than Phil, but go ahead.
So Rory's got 30 wins, Phil has 45. They both have 6 majors, but Rory has the career Grand Slam, Phil doesn't.
Correct.
But Phil has 13 seconds at majors and 7 thirds at majors.
I like the seconds and thirds.
It's just he's like I just think it's very close. And
I think
Rory
has 4 seconds at majors. Yeah. Rory, listen, part of this. Phil, for 2 weeks of his career, was the world number one. Now, that's a Tiger stat, I understand. Rory, for 122 weeks of his career, was the world number one. He's the 5-time player of the year. He's 3-time FedEx Cup champ. And I also, Phil is done. I understand that. Yeah. And so, and so if they're tied right now, Rory would pass him next week. You know what I mean? Like, Rory's still accomplishing things, and Phil's in group
Rory's
chats.
36, almost 37.
Yeah, right. And so that's the piece that I think the golf fan that, is like watches the Masters or the majors but isn't really, I bet they think Rory's way older than he is. Because he won those 4 majors so long ago, but he was 21 and 22 or 23 and 24 when he was winning them, that he still has, like, you are in your golf, he's going to be in his golf prime for another close prime decade. Like
another 40 majors. The thing with Rory, too, is, though, if you count Scheffler as a part of his generation, like, I think Scheffler is going to pass him.
Yeah,
and Scheffler is the best. Really?
I do not.
Okay.
I think I put Scheffler in the group of Koepka, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, these guys who people promised me was the next guy that was going to, get in this hollowed class. And Rory's the only one who's going to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would take
that putt to force the playoff all of a sudden. On the outside looking in.
First time in a major since Phil and Tiger in 2002 that the world number 1 and 2 finished first and second in a major.
Oh,
I would have loved to see that playoff with Scotty and Rory.
Are the Eagles still contenders without A.J. Brown? Breaking news, was A.J. Brown?
It's a hypothetical.
Oh, okay. Bumped up.
Welcome back to First Things First. Willie Colon out here. Willie, let's go to Philadelphia. More A.J. Brown talks. An article on ESPN.com dropped this morning. The title kind of stands out. Eagles' A.J. Brown intrigue increases as the NFL draft nears. I clicked on the link. The Eagles took another step in solidifying what could be a post-Brown receiver room with the acquisition of Dontavian Wicks. The front office believes Devontae Smith is more than capable of thriving with a heightened workload, and the recent additions give the Eagles some solid options to pair with him. So we are not going to. You came over to my side and you said you agree post June 1. You think it's happening now that they did the Hollywood Brown and the Wicks move. So we're not going to do will he or won't he.
Yep.
Let's just live in the hypothetical that it happens. Much to the chagrin of Eagles fans, I apologize.
'Tis the season.
What will your expectations be for the Eagles and their offense if they don't have A.J. Brown?
Well, I think it starts with Devontae Smith. So I feel he's able to carry the wide receiver room for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I don't think he will impact the defense like A.J. Brown does. That's the difference. I also believe right now, if you're Howie Roseman, and Val, I think they've done a great job of building up to the release, possibly the release of A.J. Brown by getting Hollywood Brown. You talk about Wicks, you talk about Elijah Moore. But I think right now, if you're Howie Roseman, you going into the draft, you may want to trade up and go get an Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana or Jordan Tyson out of ASU, solely because I feel like if you're going to have Devontae Smith be your number 1, you're going to need a bona fide superstar at the 2 position. Because Devontae Smith, even though he can stretch the defense, he's a little more streamlined. He's more vertical. Like, you need somebody who's a big body threat on third down and particularly in the red zone. So I think if you're the Eagles right now, that's something you may have to entertain.
So let me ask you a comp question. And I know Jalen Hurts is not a throw to all three levels, lead the league in pass attempts. Like, no one would say he's the best thrower of the football in the NFL. But is there any Jackson Smith and Jigba in Devontae Smith's game? Like, when I watch Devontae Smith,
I can see that.
He is a smooth route runner with great hands who gets open. Like, I think Devontae Smith he
plays strong too.
Like, if in the right situation where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to target you 150 times this year, and we've got a quarterback who can, dot the I and put the ball wherever he wants on the field.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be considered a top 10 receiver in football. He's just in a low-volume passing offense with Jalen Hurts as the guy doing the passing, and he's opposite A.J. Brown, who is a better player and more of like a easy to see. Like, he jumps off the tape because he's so physically imposing. Like, I think Devontae Smith is absolutely a number one wide receiver in this league.
Yes, when given the opportunity.
And I don't know if he would be in Philly, but I do think if the Eagles featured him more, because A.J. Brown is gone, I think Devontae Smith would have a career year.
Well, that's the thing. If they prop him up and let him be the true number one, we'll have to see about that. My question going forward is, I remember A.J. Brown at the end of one of his games. There was so much talk about his antics on the sideline. I can remember A.J. Brown saying, you guys are all looking at me. Smitty is just as unhinged. He's the same guy that likes to bark out. If Smitty's on an island by himself and he's not getting the ball or things aren't going his way or this passing attack isn't living up to the expectations.
Devontae Smith's just going to be reading a book.
Right. Or will we see, how will we now judge Jalen Hurts? How will we now judge the situation? Because that'll be two star receivers right now who seem to have an issue with Jalen Hurts.
Well, yeah, I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be even more under the microscope than he has been if they do move on from A.J. Brown, because it will be like, all right, are we actually better? Because my assumption will be they will be worse as a team, because if you have two number one receivers and then you have one number one receiver,
right? It's simple mathematics.
Simple math. Like, you probably will be worse. But I do this isn't about Dontavion Wicks or Hollywood Brown or any move that they make in the draft, but I do think good offensive line, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, we should still have the expectations that the Eagles are flirting with being a top 10 offense in the NFL, no?
Well, that's if we're not constantly questioning their identity, which we did week after week. We didn't know who they were, right? We knew they had all these pieces. You're talking about now re-signing Goddard, possibly having A.J. Brown in and out. We don't know. But my point, when you look at them moving forward, is, they have the makeup to be a top 10 offense. But will they be, considering that there's still serious consideration if Jalen Hurts is capable of being what they need him to be, right? Because when we read the report, the issue was, we know he's efficient against man, but against zone, he disappears. Some of those things we have to erase if we want to consider this outfit being a legit outfit or at least a top 10 outfit.
A little far into his career to still be having those questions.
By far.
All right, let's go to the Masters, but we're not talking Rory. Not right now, anyway. Drake May, he was there. Man, that's cool. And he sat down under the umbrellas to talk about the Super Bowl loss and looking ahead to this upcoming season. Here's what Drake May had to say. He said, it's humbling. You've got to get back to work. When you're so close and within reach, you want that feeling, and everybody says you'll be back, but it's not that easy. So we've got to get back to work, and I'm looking forward to trying to prove to myself that we can get back and just have another year and get a chance at it. Willie, you've been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What's it going to take for the Patriots to get back to the Super Bowl?
Just to be more attentive to detail. I think some of the goals they have addressed in the offseason, they needed to get better in the run game. But valid, they finished sixth in rushing the football. But they were horrible in short yardage, right? They didn't do well inside the 5. They struggled on the goal line. They struggled. So they went out and went ahead and got a fullback in Gilliam. They went ahead and got, I'm slipping my mind. I forgot who they get. Anyway, fast forward.
Romeo Doubs?
Not Romeo Doubs, somebody else. I apologize. But my point is they have to be better on short yardage. And then on top of that, you also got to realize, man, Drake May as a whole, he was sacked 21 times in the playoffs last year. And equated to him having a bump shoulder in the Super Bowl. So they got to shore up that protection. But I also think on the defensive side, they got to get some pass rush help. Hopefully they can address that in the draft, but we'll see what happens.
So they're in an interesting spot. They added all that cap space last year, but I said it to Wilds all the time, and I think some Patriots fans, based on the comments, got a little upset. Like, I thought they were still a year ahead of schedule. Like, I did not think they were a dominant team. Some of that was strength of schedule. Some of that was roster construction. But like, I think that it's totally in play that this upcoming Patriots team is a better team with a worse record, because that's just how the NFL works. Like, you think you're going to be back. There is no guarantee that you will get back.
Yeah, but you're going, like, the years we went back to Super Bowl, we knew the defense was the strength of our team, right? We knew no matter how we perform offensively, defensively, we were at elite level. I don't know if we could say that about the Patriots, even though they performed extremely well in the playoffs, right? Like, I think if you don't have a legit pass rush, valid, they got a safety in Kevin Bird out of Chicago, he did a great job of intercepting the football last year. But if you don't have legit rushers that can get home and impact the quarterback, it's hard to say you're going to repeat, right? I think defensively they showed up, and they showed up in a major way and carried this team. But I know every year that we had an opportunity with going to the Super Bowl is because our defense was at an elite level, or one aspect of our team was like at an elite level. I don't know if we can say that about the Patriots.
So history is not on their side. If you look at this in terms of, maybe this will mean nothing to you, but if you get there early, we immediately will talk about you always getting back.
You have to.
Because it's like Joe Burrow, it's kind of shocking. And I know part of that is Mahomes and all the guys in the AFC and injuries, right? But, like, obviously Dan Marino thought he was going to get back, and he didn't. Obviously, when Joe Burrow got there so quick, we're like, oh, Joe Burrow's going to get back. So Drake May, the overwhelming odds are not only that he won't get back this year, but that he won't get back for a while. Most guys do not get 4, 5, 6 shots to hoist multiple Lombardi trophies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's hard.
Tough.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You know it better than me. And in the AFC, he's got to go through Burrow. He's got to go through Allen. He's got to go through Lamar. He's got to go through Mahomes. And then we'll see on the next crop of guys, whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's Herbert, whether it's whomever you think it is. So what will it take? Yeah, there's no guarantees that it'll get back. They have to get a lot better. But the overwhelming likelihood is that Drake May gets another shot or maybe 2 at a Super Bowl. Not that he's going to be playing an AFC championship game for the next decade.
Well, listen, I think not to be redundant, I feel like the league catches up to you fast, right? I think but he's not going to walk up on anybody like he did last year. I do think when you put this offense together, man, there is so much of this offense, especially on 3rd and long, where it's like, hey man, you're Drake May, here's a cape, like go save us. They need more of a consistent offense, and that's why I really said, man, they got to get a run game together. The person I was trying to talk about was Elijah Rivera-Tucker. When healthy, he's one of the best run blocking offensive linemen in the league. So hopefully that stabilizes the run game. With that, also, you expect this offense to just be more streamlined, right? Like, we fall in love with the Burrows and Josh Allens and all these MVP-style quarterbacks that, like, man, when all else fails, we got this guy. That runs out fast if you're not able. 1, you don't have a run game, and 2, if you can't protect them. So I think the Patriots done enough in the offseason to kind of stabilize some of that, but it's still you want to save a young quarterback coming off a banged-up shoulder.
Coming up next, Willie Colon tells us an offensive lineman who could be put on a gold jacket and one to stay away from, and then we'll pick some teams coming up on the OTO War Room. We are 10 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft, and we want to bring you inside the OT War Room, where every day we're talking the biggest storylines ahead of the draft. Willie Colon and I taking calls on offensive linemen. And Willie, the comment section, they're like, which one of you was an offensive lineman? they can't tell.
Right.
I guess it was you.
Been in the weight room, I see.
Yeah, thank you very much. Earlier today, Nick Wright unveiled his second mock draft. He had 7 offensive linemen taken in the first round. It's a very popular position. Obviously, you can see some of them here. This is the entire list of the guys who were taken. You're a Super Bowl champion. You study the position. Which of those guys do you think is maybe being overdrafted or projected to go too high?
Man, believe it or not, it's the big right tackle out of Utah, Spencer Fennell. Listen, I get it, 6'6", 311. I have serious concerns about his measurements, his arm length, and his hand size. Right now, he's projected to have a shorter arm length than Will Campbell. And we know how much that hurt Will Campbell this season in his rookie year, especially on life on the edge. Like, listen, I like the fella. I think he's aggressive. He pops off the tape. He's tough. He can definitely run. He's athletic. But life on the edge is different. And what you see out of this guy right here is when you don't have long arms, you tend to catch. That means if you're catching, that means you're taking on the bull rush instead of stopping the bull rush. Like, if I come at you, Danny, I won't do that because I know I want to hurt you there.
Delicate. Thank you.
But what I'm trying to say is, the only way to compensate with short arms is you got to have elite footwork, right? I wasn't a very tall guy. My arms weren't very short, but my feet was elite. I had to be elite because the guys I was going against, like Jason Taylor, the Javon Curses of the world, those guys were 6'5", 6'6", long guys. If they got to my chest first, I was done. So that's something he's going to have to be able to combat at the next level. I think he will, especially with proper coaching, but I also think scheme and fit matters. If you're the 49ers, if you're the Seahawks, teams that run a lot of outside zone, that's where he can be effective. If you're a downhill team that, like run between the tackles, pull guards, he may struggle with that because he's not an overly big guy, but he's a very athletic tackle. So you have to be careful where you draft him.
Yeah, a lot of the mock drafts love Fano. Also, everything I read about him is like, and he had the third fastest 40-yard dash time. I'm like, I don't see a lot of film of offensive tackles running 40 yards.
Yeah, the only time you see offensive tackles running long distances is to try to stop an interception. And so that's
not the most valuable skill.
Yeah.
Seems like a good athlete, though. All right, so you're worried about Fano, but let's go to the positive side. Who do you like? Who do you see, long-time career, all-pro, maybe even putting on a gold jacket one day?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, there's a big ugly out of Alabama named Caden Proctor. You're talking about 6'7", 350 pounds. His nickname should be the human forklift. The man is a problem in the run game, and his ceiling is high. And I would compare him to Jonathan Ogden. You know about Big J.O. down in Baltimore,
wow. Okay.
future Hall of Famer. Like, he has generational type size, solid in pass protection. But look at Big J.O. right here. Anchoring, dropping his hips, getting his hands underneath the pads. Look at the big fella, Caden Proctor right here. Same thing, hand swat. Knows how to sink that big butt of his to stop the bull rush. Look at J.O. move. This is a backside block, trying to get to the linebacker. Cleans the hole open for big Jamal Lewis. Looking at Caden Proctor on the backside. Root him up out of that. That's what I'm talking about, forklift. Picking him up out of there, sitting him down, as the coaches would say. When you have a big left tackle, an athletic left tackle, you talk about a guy who can move his feet with his weight. Now he was listed at 350 at the start of 2005. He's probably like 370 there, but it doesn't matter if you can go to work. We got extra tape for you. I want to show you how versatile and athletic this big fella is. If we can get to it right away, that's him doing the damn thing once again. But this is him at Wildcat. Look at this. Look at the big fella rumble. Oh, picks his feet up.
Got to extend.
That's O-line porn, Danny. Look at this. He got him out in wide out. Catches the ball. Get home, big fella, for 6. I mean, that alone, that 2 pieces alone, I would draft him. There's no way you miss on this big athletic bear, this beef eater of a man. I love Caden Proctor. I've been watching the tape of him all weekend. Athlete, footwork, aggressive, may have some weight issues. It's okay. We'll trim him down. Right?
Okay.
We'll figure it out. But the kid is a stud. I like him a lot.
Now I kind of want him to be a bear with Ben Johnson, throw him the ball, trick plays. That's
the more you can do, Danny.
Okay.
The more you can do.
And a lot of mock drafts have him in the lower half of the first round. And if you're getting Jonathan Ogden in the lower half of the first round, that is quite a steal.
Win.
So I want you to look at this. I put together. You're the expert on the offensive line, but I like to think that I know what these teams actually need here. Sure. So here are the teams that I thought absolutely need to come out of this draft with an improvement at O-line. You think of the Niners. Trent Williams is 38 years old and in a contract dispute, and they lost Buford, their left guard. So they got serious left side of the offensive line question marks. The Vikings, Ryan Kelly retired at center, and they were just awful in pass protection last year. Second in sack rate, second in total sacks allowed. The Lions, it went from a strength to a question mark after,
because of Decker.
Decker gets released. Ragnow, the retirement last year, they were trying to bring him back. Then he failed the physical. The Chargers, well documented. like Justin Herbert took 54 sacks last year. It's been discussed. And the Browns, they hire Todd Monken. They do some things on the interior of their offensive line, but they have a huge issue at left tackle, and they got 2 picks in the first round with 6 and 24. You could probably add 15 teams to need to come out of the draft with an offensive lineman. If I gave you those top 5 teams, you could pick them, anyone else, best fit for Caden Proctor?
For me, it's the Chargers. And I know a lot of people say, well, we just signed Rashawn Slater to a big deal. They gave him the bag.
That is something I would say.
The man is coming off a patellar tendon tear, and if you know what that is, that's the tendon that connects your quad to your kneecap. You know
He's
why?
blocking 2 guys here, by the way. That's
well, that's huge.
That's pretty.
The reason why that matters is because we don't know what Rashawn Slater is going to look like next year, right? What Proctor does for you, outside of his athleticism and his size. But he's a guy who dominates in the trenches. You know one thing Harbaugh loves to do is run the football. You know what you need to do? Protect Justin Herbert. This young man gives you size, generational size, that is, talent, versatility. You can move him up and down the line. Obviously, he won't be able to play center for you, but he can definitely play guard and both tackles. Joe Alt was also hurt last year. We can't forget that. So for a unit in the Chargers who was plagued by injuries, if you get him at 22, I think that's a win for you. You get size, you get depth, you get everything you need to kind of propel this offensive run game.
So you mentioned, I guess you walked me right into my question. Like they've paid Alt a lot of money. They've paid Slater a lot of money.
Yeah.
They both were hurt last year. I know you mentioned the patellar tendon issue, and that's a serious one to come back from. But let's go glass half full for the Chargers, and let's say both Alt and Slater come back.
Yeah.
Caden Proctor, he's not too. You compared him to Jonathan Ogden. He can play guard.
I can definitely bump him down to guard, and you just let go of Mekhi Becton. He was a failure for you after he left Philadelphia.
And that is another mountain of a human being.
100%. The body size is comparable to Caden Proctor, 6'7", both 350-pound plus. Caden Proctor can play. He can be definitely a hole that you can fill because of his athleticism, because of his size, and also, believe it or not, he's 20 years old. So he's still grown. He's still a pup. He's just a big pup, right? So you get him,
a big pup.
You get him with the right offensive line coach, and I guess you put him in a situation where he's coming downhill and he use some of that athleticism. This kid could be a Pro Bowler by year 2. I promise you. I watched a lot of him. I like him a lot.
All right, that is one heck of a confidence ceiling when you're talking about Jonathan Ogden, and I think a lot of teams would be interested. And again, Ben Johnson, I hope you're watching. Trick plays. Trick plays. That is exciting. Tune in tomorrow. Greg Jennings joins us here in the War Room. He's scouting Carnell Tate for us. Is he the next great receiver to come out of Ohio State? That's tomorrow with Greg Jennings on the OT. To Jacksonville. We had reports circulating on Friday that Travis Hunter's role was going to be now full-time cornerback with a little sprinkle on the offensive side of the ball. Seems like that might have been news to Travis Hunter, as he retweeted Ian Rappaport and said, now who told you this? With the little, thinking face emoji. But Tony Jefferson, safety weighs in. They told him that. They just ain't told you that yet, Rook. Welcome to the league. Is that how it goes down?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes you step in and you're sitting down with your position coach and you think you're kind of on set to do what you do, and he goes, hey, man, we got a different plan for you. You usually don't find out till you're on the job. So, and I can understand why this is a blow to Travis Hunter. His mystique, his unicorn power is the fact that he can play both sides of the ball. If this is truly news to him, he's probably sick about it.
Well, also, if it's truly news to him, terrible job by the Jaguars. The messenger for that should not be Ian Rappaport.
No, but you know
it
how
should be your general manager or your coach.
100%, but you know how they're going to sell it. This is more about your health and longevity rather than you.
But that's the explanation. I'm still talking about the news. He should get the news in a phone call or at a team meeting. He should not get it on Twitter.
Does it really matter? At the end of the day, you're still going to be starting.
I know, but
at a position that you're comfortable with.
Memo to the bosses. Tell me the news directly. You know what I mean? Don't make me read about it. Seems fair.